Hello there, everybody. My name is Michael Gray. I am a staff writer for GameCola.net, and today I am playing a game called Is It an RPG? As you can see here, I have an iPad, and the other day I was hoping to find a good RPG for my iPad. So basically, what I did was I went to GameFAQs. Let's zoom out a bit. Just clicked on role-playing games for the iPhone, iPod, iPad, what have you. There are a lot of them. As you can see, there are over 3,000 RPGs just for the iPhone. So I have no way to tell which RPGs are good, so I just decided to pick some at random. Pick ones which seemed interesting to me. Mostly I just picked the ones that were free. And today I'm actually going to be playing those games, and I'm going to figure out whether they are RPGs. The first game I started with is 2-Minute Mysteries, The Bank Robber. It's clearly part of a series, and this was the game of the series which was free, so let's play the game and see, is it an RPG? Okay, so the screen says that it's a series of mysteries, some sort of bank robber. Was his death murder or a suicide? Two-minute mysteries. The bank robber.
So, what do we have here?
Looks like a suicide. The front desk clerk said when he checked in earlier today, he was acting all nervous and frightened, as if he was on the run.
He was on the run. That's Roger Stevens. This is the bank robber who strapped a bomb to himself, threatened to blow himself up if they didn't hand over the cash. His face has been all over the news lately.
We haven't found anything else. He could have stashed the loot at another location.
Possibly.
The clerk said he was on a break, reading the newspaper. He heard the gunshot and came into this room, found the body like this, and called 911.
Anything else?
Our CSI team should be here to conduct the test soon.
Okay, this is starting to look like it was filmed inside a college dorm room, but it looks kind of interesting. Was it a suicide? No. And what proves it wasn't a suicide? Is it the clerk? No. Is it the chair? The pills? No. The answer is gunshot.
Arrest the clerk.
Are you sure?
He made two vital mistakes. First one's obvious. Have a look at that gun. It's got a silencer on it. How could the clerk possibly have heard a gunshot? Secondly, if it was a suicide and the bank robber shot himself on the right side with his right hand, the impact and the momentum of the bullet would have pushed him to the other side. Again, he's lying on the right side of his face. I'm guessing the clerk recognized him from the news, killed him for the cash, tried to make it look like a suicide. The forensics team will be able to determine that the victim didn't fire the weapon.
All right. I'll take the clerk down to HQ.
And that's it. That is it. That is the end of the game, 2-Minute Mysteries, The Bank Robber. Is it an RPG? No. Is it worth playing? Not really. That was the entire game right there. It's just 2 minutes, 2 questions, pretty much absolutely no gameplay whatsoever. Okay, so the next game on my list is A Mermaid's Tale. Sort of looks like a Disney game, or at least a Disney knockoff. A Mermaid's Tale, an RPG, looks like it takes place underwater. Maybe it's like BioShock? I don't know, let's try it out. Ooh, let's make the screen bigger. And start game. Okay, this is starting to look like a dress-up game. Yeah, this looks like a dress-up game. And hold on a second here. Is all this locked content? Yeah, it's locked content. Okay, it looks like you actually have to pay money in order to access 90% of the content in this game. Let's try the red hair. Oh, that is hideous. Let's try the blue hair. Okay, I guess. Is there anything else I can do? I can save the picture to my iPhone. And I can mail it to people. Okay, let's send a picture of the mermaid to Paul Franzen, the editor-in-chief of GameCola.net, because I know for a fact that he really loves pretty mermaids. Okay, so that's pretty much it for A Mermaid's Tale. Is it an RPG? No. Is it worth playing? I think I'll let Paul answer this question. Okay, I think Paul is trying to say that no, this game is not worth playing. If you want a mermaid dress-up game, you can find better ones on the internet for free, which have a lot more content than this one. Okay, time for the final game on my list, Simon the Sorcerer. Looks like it was translated into a couple of different languages. Several languages, in fact, mostly just European languages. So let's get started. Simon the Sorcerer. Sorry if the picture quality has dropped a bit. I had recording issues. As you can kind of see, my recording equipment wanted to record this game sideways for some strange reason. Alright, we have some sort of dog. Opening a treasure chest in the attic.
This homework is really bugging me. I think I'll find the dog and put it in the dryer again.
Whoa, what? Simon? You put the dog in the dryer? I'm not sure I like this Simon character. Anyway, Simon goes up to the attic where he can find the dog.
So that's where you are. What's this? Ye oldie spellbookie. What a load of old rubbish.
It's ye oldie rubbish. The spellbook opens up a portal to a new magical dimension. So naturally, the dog and Simon are going to go through to the magical world.
Okay, Gobbos. This magic paper bring food. I thought I heard something. Aliziggy, Alizangy, Alizongy, Alizungy. Ah! Huh?
Hi, how do you do?
Lunchtime!
Oh no, poor Simon.
Not much meat on him. Down
Well, you know what?
food.
I think he kind of deserves it after putting the dog in the dryer. He kind of deserves to be captured by goblins.
Need more pepper.
Oh, and there's the dog.
Achoo.
Alright, the dog saves Simon. And that's it. That's basically the start of the game. I think you guys have an idea of what this game is like now. Is it an RPG? No, it's a point-and-click adventure game from the 1990s. Is it worth playing? Sure, if you like old adventure games, and it's kind of hard to get a hold of old adventure games nowadays, so this is probably the best place where you can get Simon the Sorcerer. It's only $3 or $4, which is probably cheaper than finding the old original CD. Well, I guess that's it for Is It an RPG? It turns out absolutely none of these games are RPGs. Somebody should really tell GameFAQs and have them update their RPG section. Until next time, this is Michael Gray signing off.